Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Hey guys, it's Ashley, and today we are going to be talking about Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman, which is book 2 in the Arc of a Scythe series, or in other words, the book that broke me. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen my, late night, sort of panic moment, because the end of this book was just I don't even have words for it. Today we're gonna be talking about this. Just like for my book talk for Scythe, I do not have any notes. I flew through this book in 2 days, so we're just gonna be, talking about things that come to the top of my head and see how this goes. Also, I will say I'm not going to have much of a spoiler-free section, so you won't be able to watch much of this video if you haven't already read this book. The only thing that I'm going to say for the spoiler-free section is that I absolutely loved this. If you guys are hesitant about going into Scythe or haven't started the series yet, literally start the series just to get to this book, because this book is so good. Do I think that it's better than the first one? I'm not sure. The ending is definitely better than the first one, but I feel like I enjoyed the plot of the first one better than this one. But either way, I still absolutely love them both, so you should still read this series no matter what. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that I can say that wouldn't just spoil the entire series for you. If you have not read Scythe yet, I will leave a link to my book talk that I made for that down below. It has more of an explanation as to what the series is about, but otherwise, stick around because now we're gonna be getting into the nitty-gritty. So I honestly don't have words for this book. This book was so freaking good. Oh my god. Okay, I'm just gonna go into just random things. No order to this video whatsoever. The one thing that I really liked about this book compared to the other one was that the other one was all about establishing the Scythedom and getting you to understand how they formed, how they started, and where everything went wrong and how things are starting to corrupt. Whereas this one was all about the Thunderhead, which yes, we get it, Thunderhead. And also a lot of you told me in the last video that when I said I wanted to know more about the Thunderhead, you said, oh, read the next book, you'll learn a lot more, and you were not wrong. I really loved whereas in the first book they were journal entries from all of the sides, in this one it was sort of Thunderhead monologues in a way, where he was pondering his existence, or I guess it was pondering its existence. I guess the Thunderhead isn't really gendered, but I don't know. Gave me very Aiden vibes from Illuminae, if you've read that series. If you like this series and you like the AI kind of thing, definitely go read Illuminae because you will love it. I know it. I can feel it. You'll like it. But I really liked the Thunderhead's little monologue things that it would give. In a way, they were kind of philosophical, where he was thinking about humanity and what it's able to do and what it can't do and how it feels things but it has no way of expressing them, and it's very weird but really gets you thinking. Also, it made me feel bad for the Thunderhead. The whole time I was reading, I was just oh, you poor baby, just let it all out, because it was just constantly sad or angry. It was always asking questions that it didn't know the answers to, because it's supposed to be all-knowing, and it didn't understand why it didn't know the answers to these questions and how long it would take them to figure it out, and it was just so interesting. And it made me sympathize with a computer. Again, it was really weird, but I loved it. But anyway, let's talk about the plot for a second. So this whole story was about Citra is now Scythe Anastasia, and she is working with Scythe Cherry, and they're just gleaning. It's been a year since the last time that we saw them. Rowan is killing off the bad sides as Scythe Lucifer, which I really liked the moment in the book where all of the sides are calling Rowan Scythe Lucifer, as if admitting that yes, this person who we despise and who we want to die is one of us. I really loved that. Then we get introduced to this new character, Grayson Tolliver, who personally I liked in the beginning, but then so much of the book's plot basically sort of corrupted him. Not corrupted in a bad way, but just made him really realize this world that they're living in, and just made him really not depressed, but like somewhere along those lines, and it just made me sad for him. I didn't not like him, I just felt really bad. Yeah, whenever we got to one of his chapters, I was like always like rooting for him to like, come on Grayson, do the good thing, do the good thing. But everything just kept going wrong, and he would just be put in these horrible situations, and I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. Then he meets Agent Traxler, who says in basically like undercover terms, like, these sides are in danger and the Thunderhead wants me to let you know. And if you do anything about it, you will be expelled and not be able to, you know, apply to any academy again. But you know, they're in danger. And he wants me to tell you about it. And Grayson is like, so what the fuck am I supposed to do? But luckily he has a conscience and he does the right thing, and it leads him down all the wrong paths. Oh my god. All of the like unsavory stuff that we learned about. That whole like segment of the book and like the middle part where he was like working as an undercover agent, but like not really undercover because he wasn't supposed to be and nobody really knew that he was undercover. So it was a really weird like double playing thing here. And then Agent Traxler gets gleaned and I was like, oh my god. And then that was just a wild time. The whole thing with like purity and like, oh Jesus, that was some wild shit. But on to the part that I really wanted to talk about, which is Citra and Rowan. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, the one moment in the beginning where Rowan and Citra meet for the first time, like face to face in the book, it doesn't like show you the scene, but they just tell you about the flashback. Oh, at some point, the last time that they met, they like said that they loved each other and like they couldn't get like the thoughts out of their head and whatnot, and I really loved that. I love the romance. I love it. Even just like a mention of it, like being able to be like, yes, we have these feelings for one another, but we can't act on it because the world is a shit show and we need to fix it first. Like, I loved that. Citra and Rowan together is just like, mwah. It's like everything that I wanted and everything that I was not able to get in this goddamn book. Until the very end, of course, which like, we all know how that went. So the whole story kind of revolves around the fact that somebody is coming after Citra and Curie. I have absolutely no idea who is behind it. Like, I can guess that it's like Rand and Goddard, who, like, speaking of which we will get to in a second. Like, you can tell that it could be them because Goddard wanted to be the High Blade, but at the same time, Constantine has given me really weird vibes. Like, there was that one scene in the theater when the unsavories were going to like release the acid from the sprinkler system and was gonna kill everybody. There was that one moment where Grayson was like, hey, like, they're gonna do this thing and you need to get everybody out of here. And Constantine just kind of like smiled and was like, ah, Grayson, there you are, and didn't do anything. And I was like, this is the weirdest reaction to everybody's going to die and get them out of here that could possibly be given. So I was like, at that point, nah, like this is very odd. But then also the fact that he nominated Curie to be the High Blade. He was the first person to do that. So like either he has nothing to do with all of this and he really is just trying to help, or he's playing the double agent and he's pretending like he knows what he wants to do, but then he's not. But then also Curie dies at the end because of Goddard anyway, so like who really did it? I'm so confused. So speaking of Scythe Goddard, let's get into this asshole. We all thought that this bitch was dead at the end of the last book. We thought that Rowan killed them all. We thought that we wouldn't have to deal with them again, but then lo and behold, we get a chapter about Tiger Salazar and everything begins to unravel and just create absolute hell for all of us. And I'm not even gonna lie and say it's a great time. It is a horrible fucking time. So it starts off with Tiger being recruited by Scythe Rand, who was the one who actually survives the fire. She's training Tiger to what you think is to become a Scythe. Then they end up capturing Rowan and having him be the sparring partner, and it's really weird. But then essentially they end up using Tiger and they sacrifice him to give Goddard a body, which is where like all of the ends begins to like unravel for him, but was a really, really creepy moment to read about, and I don't want to have to think about it again, so let's not. What I didn't like though, and what I will say about him having like a weird new body or whatever, not only did it play into the whole like, oh, 93% of him is not, you know, a scythe, so he has to become an apprentice again or whatever. In addition, he uses it as like an excuse to justify all of his actions and his anger and everything, because his body, or like the previous body owner or whatever was super impulsive and like just really like, you know, party going and that kind of thing, mixed with Goddard's like temper in his mind, it creates like this literal like explosive anger. So he literally is using it as like a justification for everything that he does. And that's why I didn't understand why he didn't get that because 93% of him was not a scythe or had not been trained for a year to be a scythe, that he couldn't be the High Blade. Like the fact that he's claiming that the rest of his body is not his, so he can blame it on anything that goes wrong. That's the whole reason that they didn't bring you up as the High Blade. And it made me so angry that he was such a hypocrite throughout the whole goddamn thing. Oh my god, I'm like literally, I can't. It made me so freaking mad. Oh my god. Clearly it still does. There was also a moment where I'm pretty sure we all thought that Scythe Rand was gonna be like, woo, fuck him, let's power to me, let's go, and like, I don't know, do something worthwhile, but all she did was let go of Rowan. So I guess before this book talk gets too long, I should probably talk about the end of this book, which I don't want to talk about, but I will anyway. So I probably put that little vlog clip that I filmed of myself reading the end of this book at the beginning of the video, and so if you saw that, you know how I feel about the end of this book. Okay, so it all started with the Conclave and the High Blade thing. Citra makes like an inquest and is like, hey look, he can't be High Blade because 93% of him has not gone through scythe training. So then they all have to go to apparently the island of Endura, or the island of the Enduring Heart. Basically like a man-made island. And so it's got like these weird jet engines underneath it. It keeps it like up and like floating and like spinning so that it doesn't like move in different places, but it's got like these high rises and stuff, and apparently because the Thunderhead has no jurisdiction over it, it doesn't have very like technologically advanced things. So things break down, things can't get fixed, like that kind of thing, which is good and it's also bad. Like they don't have any interference with the Thunderhead, but at the same time they have to deal with all their problems themselves instead of relying on somebody else. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword there. But this is where the shit show happens. So essentially they get there, the inquest is made, Goddard is denied and ordered to a year of apprenticeship, and then things start to go sideways. So Rowan finds Citra, and right at that point the jet engines that are underneath the like Grand Slayer's building decide to just stop, and they start filling with water. So essentially the island sinks. The whole island sinks. The Grand Slayers die, most of the people die, and the only thing that is saved is, first of all, Scythe, Goddard, and Rand, who admit that they were the ones who did it. They get away on a helicopter after pretending to save the Grand Slayers and then not saving them, and it was just a really dick move, but what else do we expect? You get the couple of moments where like the sides are trying to like get on boats or whatever, and they're literally just like gleaning anybody who tries to get on because they want to make it off the island. And I love the part where Curie's like, this is where you see like where the true heart of a scythe lies, like that kind of thing. The worst part was when Scythe Curie realized there was no way off the island, and so she led Rowan and Citra into the museum, locked them in the like chamber or whatever, the like completely sealed chamber, and essentially what's gonna happen is that they're going to sink to the bottom of the ocean 2 miles deep in icy Arctic, like below zero waters, and they are going to freeze to death. But not to death, it's going to preserve them enough that they will be deadish, and then they will be revived as soon as somebody finds them. That is what happens. That is what happens. But then the last chapter was really what threw me for a loop. Like, I could get around the whole idea of Rowan and Citra dying in the Death Cube and being preserved at the bottom of the ocean. Like, I don't like it, but I can get past it. It's fine. What really got me, and what really made me feel things and be like, what the fuck is this ending, was chapter 47, Sound and Silence. So, as Endura plunges into the Atlantic Sea, the Thunderhead finally screams. And this was like a culmination of literally everything that the Thunderhead had been saying throughout the entire story, because there was so much that he was saying about, or that it was saying, about how it had these emotions and these feelings but no way to express them. It could not, you know, act on any of the horrible things that the Scythedom was doing. It could only lead people in certain ways in order to make certain things happen. It was programmed to be sympathetic and compassionate at all times. So it screams, and it basically, every alarm and sound system that it controls throughout the world just completely blares at high volume for a full 10 minutes. And people are like, what was that? What would cause such a thing, right? No one knew for sure. No one but the Tonists. They knew exactly what it was. They knew because they had been waiting for it their whole lives. It was the Great Resonance. That part, I threw my book and I was like, what the fuck? Oh my god. These people that everybody thought were just this form of conspiracy theorist monk sort of people. And it actually happened. And then to top it all off, the breaking point for me, you know, beyond that, was the fact that after that, the Thunderhead goes silent. The Thunderhead is like, you know, you humans have fucked us up enough. I'm not helping you anymore. So it marks everybody unsavory. But it wasn't just here. In every city, in every town, in every home around the world, the scene was being repeated. For the Thunderhead had, in its infinite wisdom, decided that all of humanity was complicit in its actions, large and small, and all of humanity had to face the consequences. Oh my god! Okay, which also ties into one of these other pages that I've, you know, marked off because I really liked the way that this was said. This was right when Goddard showed himself in the conclave at that point when the sides were all meeting, and the Thunderhead in the middle of one of those chapters said, "And the pain of my awareness is unbearable because my eyes do not close, ever, and so all I can do is watch unblinkingly as my beloved humankind slowly weaves the rope that it will use to hang itself." It like literally correlates directly to this point at the end of the book. All it can do is watch, but at this point it says fuck it, and it intervenes, and it's like, you are all complicit in this shit. And it was one of the best moments of this whole book. So it marks everybody unsavory. Nobody can talk to the Thunderhead until Grayson goes in his room and he gets on the computer and it reads Grayson Tolliver, and he's like, oh my god. And so he says, Thunderhead? And it goes, hello Grayson, we need to talk. And that's the book. I think I just died again. That was when I had my little panic moment. And then the next day, yesterday, I went out and I got the third book. So, I knew I needed to film this today so that I could finally start the third book and not get confused between like what happened in that one and what happened in this one. So here it is. I literally just realized while editing this that I totally forgot to make any mention of Scythe Faraday and Murina looking for the land of Nod. Totally breezed past me while I was focused on everything else. So yeah, very excited to see where that takes us because that was a huge part of it toward the end. But then they just kind of like disappeared off the radar, so I have no idea what's gonna happen. And I'm very eager to find out. Regardless of how you felt about this book, I know that a lot of you on Instagram said that you agreed with me and like my reaction to the end of it, and that it was one of the worst cliffhangers of all time and that you had to wait like a full year for the next book, and I am so sorry. I wish that I could have like waited with you so I could have felt your pain, but I decided to wait for some reason, and reading the third book as soon as possible. If you didn't feel the same way, like, no worries, but I'm curious to know like what you did think. So let me know in the comments down below because I would really love to know like what other people thought of this book. It literally just threw me for the wildest loop. This story is phenomenal. I'm like definitely one of my favorite series of all time now, like so good. And so with that, I don't really have much else to say other than that I meant to say this during the video. Can we all just like have a moment where we just remember how Neal Shusterman named one of the sides after Beyonce? There was that moment in the conclave where Citra was like talking to the sides and this other junior scythe comes around and it's like, well, I think this, said Scythe Beyonce. And I was like, excuse me? Oh god, that was a fun time. Anyway, so that's gonna be it for this video. If you want to follow me on any of my social medias, all of my links are in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you later. Bye!